So, Gabriel is an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, a catalyst for social change with a strong passion for community building and development. He is a very savvy individual with a natural-born entrepreneurial spirit. Gabe is the founder and managing director of Ghana Links Media Group, a multifaceted media enterprise based here in Toronto, Canada. He also works with a couple of nonprofit community organizations as communications director. Gabe is volunteer for Prepper as director of media and Africa relations. He actually did some work with Prepper in Ghana a few years ago. So there he is. I can see him. Welcome, Gabe. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Adam. It's great to be on this platform.
Of course. Good to meet you. So we're just going to do kind of a casual, bit of a fireside chat here, and I've got a few questions lined up here. So hopefully we're gonna be able through those questions we're gonna pull a lot of value out of you today.
Yeah, it's great. Hopefully, I look forward to it.
Excellent.
Hopefully by the end of the conversation, I can pass on some knowledge to the people, the participants paying attention and listening.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about the work that you're doing right now?
So right now, I have a multifaceted media platform that I created called Ghana Links Media Group. So through that, my company does all kinds of digital marketing services, including web designing. We do social media marketing. I do video productions as well, not just me, but me and my team. So that's what my business does. But I also work with a couple of nonprofit organizations where I provide communications to them. So I'm the communications coordinator. I manage all their web designs, all their social media platforms, anything to do with promoting the organization. That's my role so far. So that's what I'm doing right now.
All right, very cool. Now, I've been told that your educational background, like many of us who end up doing this kind of work, is not actually related to the work that you're doing today. So what was your learning journey over the last 10 years, and how did you get here?
So I went to Ryerson University. I have a degree in criminal justice, and I also did a minor in business communications because I figured that business communications is something that I'll probably need later on in life. So while I was doing criminology, I was still also taking business communications. But right now, as you can see, criminology has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now, and that's because while I was in school, I started working on a website called GhanaLinks.com, and really it was a platform for Ghanaians in this diaspora in the community to go to for news and entertainment. So like a news portal that I created, kind of like a hobby, back 12 years ago. And I was really excited about having to create my own platform and posting my own content there. It was really exciting for me. So even though it was a hobby, I was spending a lot of time on this, and I was learning how to design, websites on WordPress. So even though while I was in school, I was doing all these things. And I acquired a lot of skills through that to the point where now I'm able to teach other people on how to design how to do web designs, how to do digital marketing and that kind of thing. So, and also because of my involvement in community work, it really helped me to get to where I'm at today, even though I'm not using my degree in criminology.
Right. So we have a lot of people here who are not only interested in marketing and web development, but also want to work on that business communications piece that you just mentioned.
Yes.
So I'm making up a question on the fly, but could you potentially speak to where you've been able to get some of that education and that expertise in terms of sharpening your business communication skills, and share with everyone?
So some of the courses we took, some of the classes I went to while I was in that program was learning how to write proper emails. We may take it for granted sending emails, but the structure of your email, the content in your letters is very important. So I had to learn how to write proper emails, how to communicate on paper, and that's really something I'm applying till today. It's something that you still learn as you go because there's different ways of communicating with people. But that course just kind of opened my eyes on that. And part of that was also learning how to do presentations. So like we had a camera set up in the classroom, and you'll present to the class. They'll record you, and then the class will watch your presentation and critique you. So stuff like that really helped me, prepared to get into business.
Right. The email thing is so key and so often overlooked, right? I've often I teach at the college here as well. And I tell all my students the way that you write says a lot about you.
It's very important, and yeah, that's something that the professor emphasized on actually, our email writing skills. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. No, it's very true. So, what would you say to date has been your greatest accomplishment? What are you most proud of in the work that you've done?
I would say I'm proud of being able to create something out of nothing to the point where it's generated me some sort of income, and I'm also able to employ a few people. So like all my graphic design work right now that comes to our company, I outsource it back to designers in Ghana. So I'm actually helping create jobs for other people as well. And now even with COVID-19, I got more into video productions, to the point where now people are contacting us to see if we can shoot commercials for them. And then I can outsource these jobs to people. So I'm just happy to be able to create a platform that's actually meaningful and people can relate to, and I'm creating opportunities for other people.
Right. And so that's through Ghana Links Media, I expect, right? So yeah, how do you find, you are based in Toronto. How do you find, how have you found is the best way to make that work? Really on the other side of the world.
Yeah, I would say technology has really helped. If we didn't have an app like WhatsApp, an app like WhatsApp has changed my business a lot, because I communicate with people anywhere in the world. They can send me samples through WhatsApp. Anything I need could be done in like 2-3 minutes just by reaching out to them on WhatsApp. As opposed to if I was to send emails to them, attach pictures to the email, they would have to read it, respond to me. It would take longer than instant messaging. So that has really helped. And also social media, the way you market yourself on social media is very, very important. And I think over the years, that's something that I've been able to do well, create the right content for my page. I don't just post anything there. I make sure that every post has a purpose for our brand.
Right. That's sort of strategy, what we're talking about there, how it's a lot of, I always say social media is not a bullet point when we're looking at proposals and things like that. You have to know to what end you want to use them. So how would you describe that overarching strategy?
Yeah, I think it all depends on what the person or the individual wants to use the social media for. Like for me, I have 2 accounts, one for my business and one for my personal life. So my personal life is a private account. I barely use it. I don't post much there. If you follow me, you'll realize it's kind of boring, so I'm not posting anything. However, my business profile is open, and everything that I post, it's kind of like a strategy. So, I make sure that the content has a purpose. So whether it's the hashtags that I'm using, or what is the end goal of that post? Do I want people to go to our YouTube channel to watch more, or do I want them to contact us to do something? So there's always a goal with our post on social media, and also making sure that you follow the right people that are doing things that you want to learn from. So I'm not just there looking at celebrity news and blogs and stuff. I'm actually getting information from the right people. So that's what it's there for as well.
Yeah. Just for everyone else who's in attendance, I want to sort of just triple underline what Gabe just said. Everything, a great creative director that I know and work with, he likes this phrase. He's always saying everything with a purpose. And that's very much what Gabe is talking about here with regard to social media. Every single post should have some kind of goal or objective in mind that's organizational and growth minded for whatever it is your overarching strategy is trying to accomplish. It's so important.
And if you just want to use it for fun, then that's where you have a personal page with your friends where you're just posting maybe the food you're eating today and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah.
So it all depends on what the individual is looking to accomplish on social media.
Right. Okay. So you've accomplished a great deal, actually. Would you like to spoken to sort of your greatest accomplishment? What have been the biggest challenges to getting here?
I would say my challenge for me would be putting together people that believe in the same vision, like creating the right team. Because people have come and gone. Even with my news portal, my blog sites, I've had people contribute as bloggers, and because it's like a volunteer thing, sometimes they lose interest and go. You know, people come and go, and I know that if they were being paid like a staff, that might be different because there's accountability. So getting the right people to believe in what you're doing and all work towards one goal is a challenge. You know, that's why I'm grateful that at least I can say my graphic designer is someone I've been working with for 5 years, right? But I've never had, he's the only staff or someone I have that's been consistent for that long. Other people have helped and gone, you know, that kind of stuff. So that, and also not having enough mentors to help you like in the initial stages. It's very important to have mentors to guide you. You know, if there's funding out there for what you were doing, if you don't have people to advise you, you're not aware of it, you're not gonna, you know, go for that funding, for example. So it's always good to have people that you can seek advice from, because without that, it's very tough. And with entrepreneurship, in the beginning, you're excited, you want to do everything. That's one thing I did. I did a lot of stuff. I even used to do events management, where I host events in the community. And this all started as a result of my website, Ghana Links. It became a brand. Eventually, we started doing events. We started managing artists. So doing all these little things, it's like it's a lot of work. So my challenge was just being too ambitious and trying to do everything and not having the right team with you to make sure you can accomplish.
Wow, there was a lot. There's a lot of value in what you just said there. But yeah, I mean, it's not being too ambitious is also useful from a you know, setting expectations on a team, setting expectations with a client. You know, sort of don't promise anything you can't deliver on. But again, with the team members coming and going is difficult, and I just want to kind of pause for a second and speak to that, because it's very obviously the attendees here are engaged in or soon will be in these team-based challenges.
Yeah.
They're only going to be together a little while, but obviously in the real world, turnover in industries like marketing and digital can be very, very high, right? People come and go a lot. And you said you've got one designer working with you for 5 years now. How would you say like that person's role and your relationship with them has strengthened over that time since they've been there? Like, I expect they've got a pretty good idea of what's going on at this point.
Yeah, I think the reason why it's worked well is because he's happy with the compensation he's receiving, and I'm also happy with the work he's delivering for me. So it's been a great thing, you know, like whenever I tell him this is what I'm looking for, he'll do many samples, send it to me. And so the communication has been good, and I can rely on him. So, and I think for him, he's just happy that I'm able to provide him jobs to do while he's over there overseas. And so it's been great. And I'm sure if he wasn't happy with the way I work with him, he wouldn't have stuck around for 5 years. Yeah,
right. And it is important that people like the work. It speaks to solid management too. When I was managing developers, I realized that, you know, in previous shops I'd worked, people moved because they ended up doing the same thing 3,000 times, and they weren't getting the opportunity to work on anything that was new or current. And so from their perspective, if you can, you know, empathize with them and put yourself in their shoes, they want to stay current. You know, if they need to get a new job next week, they want to be in as strong a position to do that as they possibly can be, right?
That's right. That's right.
So in terms of everything that you've accomplished, what, you know, is there anything that you wish that you'd done differently starting out? I think it's hindsight is always 20/20, but I think we all have those moments where, you know, if I knew now, or if I knew then what I know now, kind of thing.
Yes.
What sorts of revelations have you had?
That's a very good question. I mean, there's a lot of things I wish I knew when I started, but at the same time, I believe your experiences shape you, and you learn from your experiences. So certain things you may not know, but as you grow, because it's been 12 years now since I started. When I started initially, if I knew that I'll be doing certain things that I'm doing now, I would have taken it serious long time ago. For example, I always say to myself, I may not have done criminology if I knew that this is the direction my passion was going to be in. So while I was in school, I'm glad I did business communications, but there's a lot more I could have taken in school to help me, you know, excel even quicker. Like social media, for example, social media marketing. It's a whole course on its own. It's a whole field of its own where people actually study social media, how to develop their pages, how to grow more followers, how to do it for other clients. So these are things that I kind of learned as I was going, but there's a lot more that I still need to learn. And I feel like if I had done that maybe some years ago, my brand would have been even more bigger than what it is.
Right.
Now. Yeah.
So a lot of the attendees also have mentioned in the chats and as they were introducing themselves that they're really interested in sort of sharpening their soft skills and things. And the reality is that we can acquire those in lots of different disciplines. So given that your background is very different from what you're doing now, and you maybe, with a time machine, you maybe have rethought that. But what sorts of, in what ways has your background, such as it was, what sorts of skills has that equipped you with that are more universal and that you're able to apply to the work that you're doing now?
Yeah. So like the work I'm doing right now, if you look on my resume, none of my experiences has to do with like what I studied in school or like previous job experiences. It's more of what I'm doing with my own brand and my work in the community that helped me get the jobs that I do with the two nonprofit organizations. So like with the city of Malton, like I said, I'm the communications coordinator. So all those responsibilities, I learned how to do those things because of what I'm doing with Ghana Links and like Prepper and with my community involvement. So it was like a hands-on experience. I learned as I go. I didn't read a book or take courses on these things. So I feel like it helped me get to where I am today because even though it started as a passion, it became a business and I was more interested in learning more. Now I can actually transfer those skills to other places. Okay. In the job field, yeah.
Excellent. So again, another thing that was expressed by a number of the attendees was, they're here because they want to put themselves in as strong a position as possible to either look for work now or look for work soon, or look for work when they're done whatever they're doing now, summer in school. Most of us have been there a few times. We've had to moved around. We've looked for new jobs. We've left jobs. When you were, in your experience, when you've been looking for work in the past, what did you do? What were the things that you did to stand out from the pack and set yourself apart from other candidates that were competing for the same jobs?
So for me, after I left university, I've been looking for work in my field. Initially, I was looking for government jobs, and I know that with my personality, I didn't want to be a police officer, which is another option for me to become a police officer. Some of my friends are actually officers now, but my dad used to tell me just join the police because it's a good job and you can graduate. I mean, you can retire early and it's good pay and stuff like that. But I knew it wasn't for me. So I was looking for work in my field, but I wasn't getting any luck. I tried for about 5 years, nothing happening. But then I decided to just fix up my resume and add more skills that I'm like the work that I'm doing right now, the skills that I've acquired from the things that I do. Initially, I was concerned that because I don't have a degree in these things, it may not help me to my advantage when I go looking for work, right? Because they might ask me, how are you doing all these things if you didn't go to school for it? But then when I put it on my resume, if I go to an interview and I'm able to explain to them the things that I'm doing, they realize that I'm knowledgeable on the things that I'm saying, even though I didn't have the degree or certificate to back it up. So that's what helped me. That's what helped me get.
Okay. Yeah. I actually haven't seen your resume, but is there anything that you would you say that you with the education piece aside, I think it sounds great how you handled that. Is there anything that you is your resume, does it tend to be more traditional, less traditional?
No, I added more I focus more on my soft skills, like the things that I can transfer to any organization, that kind of thing. And instead of just focus on a traditional type resume, I had two different ones. One of them was more focused on the particular skill. Then I'll talk about things that I've done for that. So whether it's communications, I'll talk about all the things I've done relating to communications. Whether it's project management, I talk about all the things that I've done pertaining to project management. So I focused on a few skills that I had and then talk about the things that I do. Instead of just saying, I worked over here and I did this, that kind of thing. So yeah, so that really helped me.
That's exactly, the first page of my resume too. I don't get into where I worked and what my job title was. I list projects with clickable logos even, and they can go see those projects. And I talk about what the challenge was and what we did to overcome the challenge, and what the outcome was, right?
Yes, and that's why now it's even encouraging to have an online, like a digital resume, like an online, like a website for yourself. I used to have GabrielOdartei.com. I need to even redesign it again and add new stuff to it. But I encourage people to have a website, like a resume website for themselves, so people can actually click and see videos or things that you do, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like a good resume anymore. It shouldn't be a list. It should be a story. It should be a good story about your career and why it matters and how you made a difference. I think that's just for attendees to take away, because I know a lot of them are going to be looking for. They're moving. Some of them are changing careers actually, but a lot of them looking for work. Now I know you have a lot of expertise in social media. You've spoken to that. A lot of people here are interested in social media and social media marketing. What is your advice for someone just getting started in the social media space? Let's assume it's not personal. Let's assume everyone's more or less familiar with the personal use of social media. We're talking like social media strategy.
Yeah, so for me, I would say first make sure that you follow the right people in that industry that you're in, so you can see what they're doing that's working, like the type of hashtags people are using. Believe it or not, hashtags work a lot on Instagram, so it's good to know the kind of content. And I'll encourage you to read a lot on social media marketing, because things have changed a lot. Like the way Instagram was 10 years ago is not what it is now. There's a lot that you need to keep up with. Just even the type of pictures that you post matters a lot. Like the quality of the image, all these things. So there's a lot to learn about social media, and even the time of the day to post, all these things matter. So there's a lot to learn. You can just go online, and so I'll encourage people to learn on your own. Or that's the beautiful thing about having Prepper, so that people can actually learn through the Prepper network as well on social media marketing. But it's something that if you're just coming up, you're just starting, it's not as simple as just posting pictures. There's a lot that goes into.
No, it's not as simple as posting pictures. Also, you have to have a standard for that kind of thing too. You see a lot of social channels, and it takes is sort of one bad image there in the first couple of posts to really drag everything else down.
That's right. That's right.
I like what you were saying there as well about different times of day. So just like we look at, I was just speaking in a session about why website analytics are important and things like that. But your social analytics will tell you things, what times of day, what parts of the week you're getting the most engagement. What have been the most valuable insights that you've uncovered about your audiences through social analytics?
For me, a valuable insight would be once they see a post, what do they do next? Did they go back to my page to see my other posts? That kind of thing. It's something that I pay attention to. I would like to see the demographics of the people, because with my page, it's not only people in Canada that follow Ghana Link, even people back home in the States, in the UK, they all follow the page. So I like to see the demographics of the people that are coming to the platform, and what interests them, because certain posts I make might get very low interaction, and then some might get very high interaction. So I like to see what's doing very well and what's not doing well.
Okay, so with that in mind, also, how do you determine which content how do you make the decision which content is going to go on which channel?
So for like the video contents, I have some video content that I shoot strictly for YouTube, for our YouTube channel, right? Because it's much longer. I want people to watch it, and I want the views on YouTube. Whereby certain videos is specifically edited for Instagram, because it's like a short Instagram story. So then we put it on Instagram for that. And as for Facebook, everything that I post on those platforms just gets shared back to Facebook, because they're all connected now, right? One social media platform that I don't use as much as I before would be Twitter, and I'll say because there's not enough engagement on Twitter with my followers there, so I focus on like the Instagrams and the YouTube and Facebook, that kind of thing. Even though I still have a Twitter account and I share all the content there, I just find that it's not as engaging.
No, I find that's true a lot of the time also. Now, is there anything that you use, like third-party tools, either free or paid, to help with the social media?
I've used Hootsuite. I always recommend Hootsuite. But there's a whole bunch of tools out there now. For that, I also have this app on my phone just for the social media analytics to tell me, what people are doing on my page or what they're interested in. There's a lot of apps you can look for that as well. I have Google Analytics, and Google Analytics is just to help with my website and my, to track all the data on my website and how.
Right. Do you want to share? Can you share the name of that app for the group?
Let me just check that for you. I just got it.
I put you on the spot. Sorry.
Yeah, I just got that recently. But if you go to Insta followers, stuff like that. If you just type in those like Insta followers, you'll see there's all these apps now that track your social media. Let me just give you a good one right now. But yeah, so, and also I find that people have different apps for different things. Some people would like to even know what keywords are doing well.
Yes.
On Instagram. So like there's apps for that as well. I don't have that on my phone, but I know that a colleague of mine mentioned that she just got this app on their phone, and you can actually, it'll tell you what keywords to use when you're making a post based on the content that you're posting.
That's great. That's an area I actually need to get a little more savvy in, I think.
Yeah, the keywords.
Yeah, that's very cool. Because we tend to think of Google as keyword based, and a lot of social media is demographic or psychographic. Psychographically based, but keywords will be really important. So what was there a single event that inspired you to start your own business, or what was going on when you decided, I'm going to do this?
Well, while I was doing this initially as a hobby, it wasn't making me money. Like when I was managing my website, creating the content, whenever there's news relating to people in the diaspora here, I'll post it there. So like it was a popular website in the community, but at that time wasn't making money, but I was still doing it just to build my brand. So I was doing jobs, bouncing from job to job while still looking for work in my criminal justice field. And it was a difficult time. I mean, going from job agencies to job agencies, nothing was really going the way I wanted it to go. And then I realized that there was a need in my community. I found a niche market, which was the African community here in Toronto. I noticed a lot of businesses, small businesses, did not have a presence on the web. They didn't have a website. They weren't even thinking about social media, all that stuff. They just, traditional way of marketing, which is in the local newspaper. That's all they had. So that motivated me to start a web design company where I can actually go out there and do consulting and speak to businesses and explain to them why they need to have a website and the benefits of having one. So that's initially how it started. And I realized, slowly I was starting to make some money. People were actually happy with the way I was advising them and the work that I was doing for them. So slowly it was growing, started doing even churches that needed our services. So that's what it was. And I said, let me just actually register a business so that I can do things official.
Yeah. So
that's why I registered the company. And it was officially registered about 6 years ago, even though I've been doing this for about 12 years. So yeah, that's why I started the company. And now it's been good.
What have been some of the, if you're free to speak to them, what have been some of the really great stories about those interactions in the African community in Toronto? What have some of the? Can you tell us a little bit more about? Can you go deeper into some of those projects?
Yeah. When I first started, it was a little bit challenging because I have to do a little bit of consulting. I have to educate people on why they even need a website in the first place. So like you might get some people tell you, like one of the example I had, this lady owns a grocery store, and she told me her son is a computer engineer. So if she needs a website, it's not a problem. And in my head, I'm thinking computer engineer, but doesn't mean he's ready to build your website because you would have had it by now, right? But she doesn't know. So I have to take my time and explain. Initially, it was difficult getting the clients. I had to change my model a little bit with the help of a Prepper and Solar. I was able to change my business model and how I approach the process that I use to get clients changed. And I think that started working, where now, even if my price was a bit higher than what it was before, they'll still pay because I'm showing more value than, oh, let me just do a website for you and blah, blah, blah. Now I actually have, things in place, a proposal, so to speak. So yeah, that helped.
Yeah, Solar's great. I like working with Solar.
That's what he does best.
So with regard to some of those projects, what were the most positive outcomes? Like, did anybody, who did you really sort of put on the map and really change the way that they were doing?
Oh yeah, definitely. So one example is I walked into an office, wanted to do a website for this man that owns like a financial company. But when I walked into the office,
what kind of company was it?
A financial company, like yeah. So when I walked in there and we spoke, not knowing he has bigger businesses back home that he needs a web designer for. So like he's an estate developer back home with all kinds of apartments, condos, big business. And so when I told him what I can do for him, that's when he got excited and showed me all these other companies that he has, and he brought me on board. And 5 years later till today, I still work with him. Like whenever I go back home, I stay in his luxurious apartments for free because of the relationship that we built over that period of time. So I went in there just to do one website. I ended up with 3 different projects.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it when that happens.
Exactly. So it's been amazing, and also besides him, there's other people that now they know me as the go-to person when it comes to the digital marketing.
There you go. So yeah. Thought leadership, right? You're the guy.
So that has been great.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question sort of on behalf of certain members of the group. It can be very difficult for sort of people who are new to any country, right? It's difficult for new Canadians. My family works with like refugees and stuff, and we help them do things like figure out how to do their taxes and stuff. Just how to live and work and be happy and productive in a completely different country with completely different systems for doing things. Based on your experience, do you have any advice for either aspiring African Canadian entrepreneurs, or we could just as easily say anyone who's sort of newly landed and maybe doesn't have a strong network here yet, or they need to find mentors and people to go to for help? What's your advice to those groups?
That's a good one. I think my advice to them would be to educate yourself, learn on your own as much as you can. Because if you're new to the country and maybe you don't even have the means to go to a school, you don't have OSAP or whatever it is to get to school, there's free resources out there now on the internet. YouTube is like a college now. People are learning things and becoming professionals just based on YouTube videos. There's a lot of books you can read. I would advise you to join meetup groups. Just put yourself in situations where you might meet people that are doing the things that you want to do, or people that can advise you, people that can one day become a mentor. For me, one thing that helped me was putting myself out there to be in the community. My family is not in the community. They're not in this. They're not even in this province. Most of them, right? And so my community became my family. They've supported me in my initiatives. For example, in a couple of months ago, I had a virtual concert to raise money for seniors in the community, right? It was the same people in the community that supported my concert and donated money towards it, right? So I advise those people to get involved in their communities because they're there to help. That's why these associations and organizations are formed, especially if you don't have any help, if you don't have anybody here. Just put yourself out there, and then you never know who you meet.
It's really important. I mean, I've been in London here only for a few years, and I've lived in Canada my entire life, but my network is still way more powerful and way larger back in Toronto. I feel even 2 years later, I'm struggling to develop a new one here.
Oh, there, yeah. So that's what it is. Yeah, it's not easy. So you gotta go out there and let people see you.
Yeah. Okay. At this point, I mean, thank you very much for answering all of my questions. I hope the group found that beneficial. I'd just like to open it up to the group right now if they have any questions for you. I'm going to, I've noticed people have been kind of conferring and stuff over here.
That'll be awesome, yeah.
Figuring out there's a little bit of chatting going on while we were talking here, and people are figuring things out, and that's great. But if people have questions, if anyone has questions for Gabe, we're going to see if there are any in here. Let's see.
I see one question here.
What were the things that you did with Prepper to focus on increased conversions among the target audience? What did you do for conversion rate optimization with Prepper?
So that's a good question. With Prepper, I was learning from Prepper. So like there's a few projects that I did. I wouldn't say it was really relating to conversion rate though. It was more just getting the more brand awareness, brand recognition. So I went out to Africa, did a lot of interviews with schools, doctors, and also a few politicians. So I went there to ask questions about the challenges that they're having, so that we can find out how we can create solutions with the Prepper network. Right. So some of the challenges, especially with education, they mentioned a lot of things that I believe Prepper is still working on, so that we can go back there and find solutions to some of these challenges that the students mentioned. So I have it all on video, and it's on the Prepper YouTube channel. But that's one of the things I did. I also helped with the Edu Challenge that we did a couple of years ago. We had a hackathon, and I was there to do more media work for Prepper on that one.
Yeah. Okay. This has been a very very active chat. I just don't want to miss anyone who asked anything. If I have not addressed a question you've asked, maybe if you can just repeat it in the chat for the sake of ease, and we'll jump right to it. Scrolling for